Welcome, fellow Elder Scrollian. Welcome back to the channel. That is not a real thing, just a word I just invented. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Memno. Thank you very much for being back in this build guide walkthrough of the Elder Scrolls Online. And this episode is all going to be about the Immortal Queen. The Immortal Queen-DragonKnights. This build guide, this Dragonknight tank guide is all going to be about survivability and how to clear the hardest content with the Elder Scrolls Online. This tank I managed to clear VSS, VSR, every single dungeon out there and trials out there and the hardest contents. We've done no trial, no death, no run with this tank with zero problem. So in this build video I'm going to showcase you not only how to tank, which gear sets are best for which situation, because a lot of gear sets out there is situational build and lots of content creators have a difficulty explaining that in a proper way. So I'm gonna do my best to explain you every single thing you need to know and at the same time giving you a very strong build with the Elder Scrolls Online. The only thing I ask you in return, don't forget to press the juicy like, you comment down below, let me know what you think about this video, about this guide playthrough, and I'll see every single one of you on the next one and the next playthrough. I'll say enjoy, sit back, let's start the show, shall we? So guys, let us see us in a closer look how the Queen's tank, the Queens of Queens, the Immortal Queen tank actually looks like in stats. So I'm gonna do this step by step. So because there's a lot of content coming, so I want you guys to understand the mindset behind this tanking, the way of tanking, and the gear choices that I'm having, and the gear choices I'm gonna recommend towards you. But those gear choices are gonna be situational. There are a lot of other content creators not really mentioning. Are they very strong sets? Yes, but they're only situational. So I really want you to understand that concept about situations, because in the Elder Scrolls Online there's no such thing as one glove fits all, one shoot stuff fits all. Every set, if it's for damage dealers, for tanks, or for healers, most of them are all situationals. And of course you can use all of them across the board. How can you be effective as high as possible, as good as possible? It's gonna be depend on the situation that you find yourself in. So hopefully you understand that. So when we are going through towards every single content with this build advice, I'm gonna give it to you how to tank, because I've cleared VSS, VSR, all the trials and the hardest contents. And the dungeons, every single dungeon you have right now in hard mode, I cleared every single one of them in hard mode. I have zero problem with the setup that I'm using right now, and I'm gonna recommend you. So I'm literally in the right position to tell you how to tank properly, and what are the things you need to watch for if you are tanking. All the things I've learned as well through my years playing in Elder Scrolls Online. From playing itself, I'm learning from other players as well. So let's start in form of a character customization and how it looks and flat. So I'm have max magicka 16,529. I'm having a max health of 25,047, max stamina 24,625, max recovery 646. Same thing for stamina recovery, and health recovery 459. Weapon and spell damage is really not that important for me. I do have an important spell critical of 26,358 and a physical resistance of 23,058 with a critical resistance of 2,730. Those are the numbers I have flat without unbuffed of anything. I'm 46 points into health. Can you put, for example, 60 points into health and 4 points into max magical to increase your max magical as high as possible? Of course you can. It's not a problem, but you can do that if you want a more bigger magical health pool. But the one thing you need to remember that the output of the strength of my abilities that I used is not calculated in max magica nor max stamina. It's all calculated and max health. So the bigger the health pool that I have, the stronger my shields are going to be, the stronger my buff and debuffs that I have for myself, or I give to my partners in crime in my trials or dungeons. So this my max health is very important in form of tanking. And the rest of the two other stats is for sustain. how good are you as a tank and as a player, how you can sustain yourself and the content that you are doing. So why I'm choosing max stamina over max magicka then, for one concept in the Elder Scrolls Online, a lot of people tend to forget to explain to a lot of people. One key word is perma blocking. I can say it again, perma blocking. That is so important that if you are thinking that you do not lose your sustain and stamina, that you always manage to block every single content that is coming towards you much easier without even worrying yourself and other pools of sustain loss. Sorry, I'm trying to find my right English words. So I'm using the max stamina to really make sure that I can always manage to perma block every single light of heavy attack, especially the heavy attack mechanic of the boss itself. At the same time, not worrying himself over on the surrounding mechanics, so I can dodge, I can move, I can do whatever I want, but still having a shit ton of stamina left to make sure I can light attack or heavy attack myself to get my resources back and perma block again. So I can always be eligible, sustainable, and always to be an unmovable block against my boss at all time. The most important thing that a lot of people tanks tend to die for is that when they are doing mechanics, a lot of mechanics is going around you, they tend to panic very fast. So they start moving and they start doing whatever they want and they start jumping and they start. I've seen it all. So with this build, actually, because I have so much max stamina, only thing I do, I stand in front of my target. I do not move, especially in trials, because they have to make sure that they stay in a straight line. I make sure I stand where I am. That is my boss. I make sure he do whatever he wants. I stand here. I can stand here for days, for hours, for months, for years. Just name it. I can stand here because I have so much sustain. I can do whatever I want. As the mechanic's coming, I go to the left or I go to the right. But I make sure I always stand in the same spot so the healers always can get towards me, and the boss stay in the same place so the DPSs can do the job properly. So I can stand here very easy because my stamina is so freaking high. That's why the point of having max stamina, so I can block as long as I want to and really to be sustainable against harder content within the boss coming towards me. Hopefully that's a little bit understandable why I'm choosing over max stamina over max health and the toolkit that I'm using, because I truly want to be an unmovable object against the boss itself. That's why I'm making sure that my max stamina is high as possible, so I can perma block as long as possible it's needed for that instance for me to perma block. At the same time, move, dodge, roll, whatever needs to be done to make sure I'm away from the mechanic. The rest I'm using increase of max health and max stamina. I'm using blue staff food. What I'm using for stat food, I'm only using the Braised rabbit spring vegetable. So now, what is that gonna give to me in form of consumables? I go to a consumable. It's gonna give me max health of 5,359 and a max stamina of 4,963. What does actually give? Why I'm using this to make sure that my max health is high as possible and my stamina as high as possible, so I can perma block as long as I want. Can you use tristat food? Of course you can use tristat food. The one I recommend you for tristat food is Bewitch sugar skulls. It gives you an overall flat of max health, max stamina, and max magicka, and health recovery of 462. You can use you can use that to have an overall flat line at every single buff you have for max stamina, max health, and max magicka. But me personally, I found it on this tank and this build, how this tank is constructed itself. I don't need the amount of max health, of max stamina, and overall. Max magicka overall, because I can sustain my max magicka very long time because I'm doing my buffs when I needed to use my magicka, but the rest of the time I'm perma blocking and only use my magicka pool in the key moments I need to buff myself to make sure that the heavy attack of the boss, so I can overbridge it, So now using then my magical output. Only then. The rest of the time my magical output is only there, is standing there, is recovering himself, nice and easy, nice and sexy. But another time I'm for 100% I'm perma blocking. I'm perma blocking. I'm staying in the position where I am. So I need a much bigger max stamina output to make sure that I can be an unmovable object. That's why I'm using this, and that's why I recommend you to use this as well. From Monsterstone, I'm using the Lady Monsterstone, increasing my spell and physical resistance by 2744. I'm a stage 3 vampire. So why I'm using a vampire? Because of the vampire passives, you're gonna go closer on later on. The vampire's passive have one unique passive that the closer you are to death, the harder you are to be killed. The lower your health is, around 20%, it's increase the much damage you can take. So the lower your health are, the tankier you are. That's why I'm a stage 3 vampire. Yes, your health recovery, your flame resistance, and everything, all the costs is gonna be very high. But the moment I'm close to death, I become tanky as fuck. It's incredible. I'm really hard to kill, so it gives me the opportunity then to reassess the situation and to buff myself up to 100%. That's why I'm using Vampire Stage 3. I have zero problem sustaining myself, especially because I'm, like you guessed that's right, I'm a Redguard. I'm using the Redguard and the passive as well of the Redguard. It becomes very clear why I'm using the Redguard. And inventory, let's go to the skills, the gears that I'm using first, and the gears I'm going to recommend you to use in form of tanking itself. Now, the first gear I'm using Yolnahkriin, front bar, and backbar. I'm using Stonekeep, Monsterset, all the heavy, Yolnahkriin and body. I'm using Plague Doctor and body and jewerly, and all 7 pieces I'm using is all heavy. I'm using no medium, no light, everything is all heavy, trying to min-max my resistance as high as possible. Stonekeep, why I'm using Stonekeep, I'm using the tristat enchantment to increase my max health, max stamina, and max stamina. Only on the big pieces I'm using it. That's it. What Stonekeep is gonna do, the trade of course is impregnable to increase my critical resistance as well. It's gonna give me, even though its Stonekeep was buffed a few patches ago, it's still a very strong set in form of sustain and resource recovery. What's gonna give me 548 max stamina, 548 max magicka, 603 max health. When you block an attack and you gain a charge of stack, you gain 6 charges. When you release your charges, you're gonna restore 2448 stamina, magicka, and health back. So how does it work actually? When you are blocking, the enemy is doing, or the NPC, the boss, whatever, doing damage to you, you are stacking your charges. You keep stacking it because the way that we are playing, you are meant to be blocking as long as possible. You are an unmovable object. That's why we have a max stamina as high as possible. You can stand there as long as you want to because your stamina pool is so high. The moment that you release, then you finding yourself, then okay, now I need to release, I rebuff myself, and you release yourself, the charge of this tool cage is gonna discharge himself, and it's gonna give you 2480 stamina, magicka, and health back. There's a nice set to have that adds up in form of sustain, if you're having sustain problem. The second set I'm using, the same thing, I'm using tristat enchantment in it to increase my max stamina, max health, and max magicka, and I'm using sturdy to reduce the cost of blocking on this armor piece, so I can block much longer because of it. As Yolnahkriin, I do have the perfected one. I just want to say that before. The only reason I'm not using the perfected one, and the only reason I haven't golded out my other Yolnahkriin, because I only need 1 more pieces of Yolnahkriin, so I have the mid-max completely in form of arm, body, and armor, so I can have a full set of perfected Yolnahkriin and my body and my armor. But unfortunately for me and VSS, for the longest time I have the shittiest luck in form of drops. The set that I need for make sure I have a proper 5 pieces perfected Yolnahkriin is not dropping for me so far. So that's why I'm using still the normal one. The normal one is still very, very good. The only difference is that you can see, if you look on the stats itself, I have 1146 max health. Same thing, you gain minor Ignis. It reduces your damage taken by 5% for dungeon trials and arena monsters. You increase your max stamina. You have an increase of max health of 1146 on the perfected one. You have an increase of max health, and on the normal one you don't have it, as you can see. But on the normal 5th piece, you both have, when you taunt an enemy, you gain a minor courage to 11 people on your group for 50 seconds long, and increases your weapon and spell damage by 250. So it's a nice buff you give actually to the entire group. I use Yolnahkriin for 99% of the time. If I'm main tanking itself, I'm my colleague tank as an off tank, of course. They're using, for example, Galewen. I'm using Yolnahkriin. So we both have different forms of buffs that we are giving towards the group itself. That's why I'm having this. That's the only reason why I'm not golding out the rest of this toolkit, because I want the last piece so I can have an overall nice build for perfected. Yes, and I do want the 1146 max health to increase my max health again as high as possible. And another set I'm using was the Plague Doctor. The Plague Doctor is again I'm using big pieces. I'm using the tristat enchantment, increase my max stamina, max health, and max magicka. And this piece I'm using increased penetration resistance to make sure I have better resistance to heavy attack or strong attack of the bosses coming. But this is more as selfish as it increases the health pool of me as a character as high as possible. That's why my max health is so high. So I'm having 1146 max health, another max health, another max health, and the 5th piece of max health it keeps me 2706, only because this is still purple. So, and golden is going to be much higher, of course, the output of it. Another set I can recommend you, the other sets I can recommend you to use is our situational sets. Is the grief, the leeches. The leeches is one of the one sets that a lot of content creators like to promote. I like to showcase. It's a very strong set to survive in. But a lot of things that people tend to forget is the situational based set. It is viable in trials, and veteran trials are like an veteran trial hard mode. Not so really, because it's too much of a selfish set. It's not really viable in trials and harder content of trials. So you're better off using Ebony or Plague Doctor to increase your own health than having this form of sets. Why? Very simply, what this set actually does for you, first of all, it gives you a max health of 1146. It adds 4% health taken. It gives you another health, 1146. The 5th piece, what it does, what makes this actually an attractive set, that it's very good for dungeons, hard mode, veteran, and etc. This is a very good set. What it's gonna do for you is actually it's gonna make sure that when you do damage, when you take damage, you're gonna summon a cloud of leech poisons. Those leech poisons gonna deal every single one of them to all the NPCs around you that is targeting you, like giving you a hard time. You're gonna do damage towards them. So the damage output I have is 1129 poison damage for every second for 5 seconds long. So the nicest thing about this, for 100% of the damage that you cause, is gonna heal you from. So like you can see, a form of ad pulling and form of dungeons where you have lots of ads surrounding you, this set becomes extremely OP, and you're becoming extremely hard to be killed if you're having this set on you. Especially I heard it, and in the front bar and the back bar have it. Every single damage that you take, you're gonna be restored for 100% of it. It's becoming a very strong set. It's very hard for you to be killed. As a definite recommendation, if you're doing the harder content in dungeons, definitely put your leech on, and you will not get killed. You become literally almost impossible for you to be killed on. Another good set is actually it's very situational set. It's not that much used. It's not a set I would recommend towards you because um, the fifth piece of it, except you have max health, uh, minor ignis, a lot of max health, 4% health taken. The fifth piece, the Eternal of Yokeda, when you take damage, you are below 25%, it gives you a burst heal for 24,858 health and gain 79 ultimates. This is an amazing set if you want to stack your ultimate quite fast, and you can stack it quite fast actually as well with with a decay. So you can always have the form of the sustain on your ultimate quite fast. But it's not a set I will recommend you. It's also a situational set you can use quite good in form of dungeons as well. It's quite very strong, but it's not really a nice set and overall. But it's a nice set to have in your tool cage as well. And the rest of them, the last set I can recommend you, definitely to you have and your tool cage a form of tanking is Ebony. Ebony, what gives it to you is 1,136 max health, another max health, 4% health taken, but the nicest thing, it increases the health of 11 people within your group for 942 max health extra for 28 meters. It's a nice set to have, even though now the overall cap of max health is so high right now. You actually don't need Ebony, but if it's needed in the trials, for example, are you doing VSS hard mode, no death speedrun, like I've done with my group, Ebony becomes a very strong set. For example, for the main tank, or for the main tank to use, or for the F tank, depends who wants to use Ebony on the group itself. Becomes a very strong set to use then for to gain that goal. So it buffs the health pool of the entire group quite high actually. And that's it for a form of sets that I'm using. And of course, my jewery increase. I make sure that I have an increase of health recovery and all my jewery and 3 pieces as well. Of course, you can use your normal Yolnahkriin. You don't need the perfected one, but I just want the perfected one because the extra health pool that I want in it, just to increase it. But you don't need it. And the rest of them, of course, I recommend you gold them. I'm definitely gonna go my Plague Doctor and all the rest of the guild sets as well as gold as possible. But even now, what I'm using right now, I'm good as Immortal. Playing the way I'm playing right now is ridiculously strong. This builds. A form of other potions that I use and overall is the essence of magic. That's the only potion that I use actually. If I need a boost of magicka recovery, I can pop a potion. Otherwise, I use none of other potions I'm using within my build. And it's only potions that I use. The skills. Let's go to the skills, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the first skills that I use is probably the most important one. Is Pierce Armor. Pierce Armor is one of the first skill lines you can find yourself, and Shodan for the one hand and shield skill lines. What it gives you when you trust the enemy with a piercing attack, you deal 2,565 physical damage. You taunt them for 50 seconds long, and you reflect them with major breach, so reducing the physical resistance and spell resistance for 2,947 and 5,948 for 50 seconds long. This is one of the most important skill line that you have as a tank that you're using. You make sure that you have this little baby up for 100%. I cannot say this enough, that you need to make sure that the boss is at all time always targeting to you. At 100% of the time, the boss need to be targeted at you. So the moment that you lose the boss, it can literally mean as a wipe for everybody, especially in trials. So what it's gonna do, what this looks like, this is the boss. You targeted him, of course. The taunt is on him. So how do you see you have a taunt on him? You see the little character, skill line bars is black and has like an aura around him, that means I have a taunt on him. That's the signification on my toolbar that I have a taunt on this um, astronaut. So now, because we're here now, because in a trial mode, so how this gonna my stats gonna look like as well, and for my trials mode, so it's gonna be buffed, of course. My max magic is 18,165, max health is 61,603, and max damage 27,063. So it's spell magic and weapon damage, all those nice things, all been buffed. Magic recovery, stamina recovery, it's all been buffed exponentially, very, very high. So I can, yeah, sustain every single content in this game extremely easy with this build. I haven't even maxed every single thing in this game. So it's very important that your piece armor is always on as 100%. You do not let this piece armor drop down. You make sure that it's on as 100% of the time. And yes, you do spam this because it needs to be kept as 100%. The second ability I'm using is the Green Dragon. This is found itself on a draconic power skill line. What it does when you draw the draconic blood in you, healing you for 33% of the health missing. You gain major for 42, major endurance, minor vitality, increases your health recovery and stamina recovery by 30%, and a healing received by 8%. So that is one of the abilities that it costs you magical to use, but increase your stamina and health recovery while you're using it. It's a very important skill line to use, especially in the moments that you need to buff yourself up. Try to overheal the heavy attack of the boss itself. This is the skill line you must pop to make sure that your health recovery and stamina recovery restore himself extremely fast. How does it look like? It looks like this when I'm popping it, and it goes my magical recovery. As you can see, my health recovery has all been increased exponentially. Alright. The other ability that I use on my skill line is Bone Search. Bone Search, you can find himself on an undaunted skill line. It's very simple to use. You surround yourself with a bone, whirlwind bone, gaining a damage shield that absorbs 16,609 damage for 6 seconds. This ability scales off of your max health. Like I said, the bigger your health pool is, the stronger your abilities are going to be. Same thing it goes for Green Dragon. The bigger your health pool, the bigger your health recovery also going to be, and the health pool that you miss, how much you're going to get back from. Same thing goes for Bone Search. But the nicest thing about this, it creates a synergy. When you activate it, you create a spinal synergy, grants the ally up to 5 other allies a damage shield absorbed up to 30% of the max health for 6 seconds, and major vitality, increasing the health received for 60%. So I always make sure that I have this little buff up as much as possible, so that my group and always can benefit from this energy as much as possible as well. The fourth ability that we're using is the Ignis Shields. We're not using the other morph. We're using the Ignis Shields on the Earthen skill line. Why? Because when you call the Earth to defend yourself, it grants you and the nearby ally an absorbing shield for 4,444. Your own shield has increased for 11,113 damage, and it all scales off of your max health. As you can, like I said, my output of my abilities is not calculated on the max stamina or max health, but on max stamina of max magicka, but it's all calculated on max health. So the bigger my max health, the bigger the shields I'm gonna get for myself and for the people I am playing with. So it's so important. And the nicest thing about this, you gain major mending, increasing your healing done for 60%. So how do you make sure that you benefit this as much as possible? So how this looks like is this little baby. It gives you a nice, beautiful buff shields. Now, how do you proc this? So you make sure if you the boss is going to hit you with his heavy attack, and you know it's gonna bite you. For example, the dragon, a Yolnahkriin dragon, the VSS, is gonna bite you. It bites you extremely hard. So how do you benefit from all this nice healing from your green dragon? It gives you a mass healing of 30% magical recovery and health recovery in 23 seconds, and we're gonna restore 33 percent of your missing health that you have in that instance. So how do you benefit from this major opportunity and a major mending and one swoop go? So you have 100% upkeep and uptime of these two ability. So you make sure first that you do your earth ability and then you do a green dragon. That's how you get the best form of healing, receive, and recovery by using these abilities. You make sure you have your Ignis Shield on first, and then you go to a green dragon. And then you can put your Bone Charge and your other abilities to buff yourself as much as possible. The last ability that we're using on this 5-piece skill lines of the front bar is Absorb Shield. Absorb Shield is find himself in a shield and board. Skill line is the third ability. What it's gonna do is bolster the defenses, gain the damage shield absorbs 16,173 damage for 6 seconds, while the shield persists. You are healed for 8,314. The next time the harm direct damage the project hits you, the effect can occur once per cast. So you get a nice heal, a nice shield, thanks to this ability. Of course, it costs you stamina, but because we have so much stamina, that the cost of the stamina is literally, yeah, it doesn't cost you anything anymore because the stamina pool is so high. Even if we are permanent blocking, it doesn't matter much. And the nicest thing is scale off your max health. So the bigger your health pool, again, the bigger your shield you're gonna get. The last ability that we use is a shield discipline. I do not leave home. I do not go thanking without having shield discipline caught on the front line. So what it's going to do for me, this a little beautiful baby, is going to make sure that I literally become the true unblockable wall that I'm trying to be with this build. So when activated, all incoming attack will be automatically blocked. So that this ability saved my ass so many times, because in one way or another you're always going to find, especially in dungeons, that people are running all over the place, they are panicking, not following the mechanic, and they start dying, they start proccing. So this shield ability really made sure for me that the tank itself saves the day. So I can automatically block for 8 seconds, and I can revive every single person that been killed because of their own, yeah, I wouldn't say stupidity, but the lack of knowledge of the mechanics of the dungeon itself. This little baby makes sure that I can sustain very long without me being one-shotted by the boss while I'm resing people. That's why it's so important, this skill line, to have on my front bar. This is my oh shit button. When something happens with a group, I pop this, I make sure I can be unstoppable, a real block of steel for 8 seconds long, so I can reassess the situation, heal everybody, resurrect everybody with zero problem for 8 seconds long. An absorb shield, how does that look like? It's simple. First, that's the absorb shield. As you can see, my buff went extremely high for 4 seconds long. The little shield there on the right. Now, the absorb shield, how does that look like? Is this. As you can see, I can move how I want to, but every hit I get for 8 seconds long, I'm an unstoppable block of wall. I can do whatever I want. Okay? I'm a Backbar. The first ability I use on my Backbar is again an undaunted skill line. It's overflow. So I using overflow preferably over blood altar. When you sacrifice your life essence to conjure a fountain of blood and apply a minor life steal to the enemy. in the area, healing you and your allies for 600 health every second damage every second when damaging them. The allies in the area can activate the Blood Feast synergy, healing for 56% of their health. So the cost gives you is quite of an increase of cost, 4,347 health. The nicest thing about this, it gives you mana steal. So just to recap what they all been said here, is that the moment that the DPS is doing the DPS and this little baby is on, the heal tick is much higher for healing you and the allies when this little baby is on. But the nicest thing as well, it gives you a synergy and gives you a blood feast synergy and increases an overall burst healing for 56% for every single ally in the area. So it helps them in form of survivability and a group content as well. So for me personally, 4,374 health that I'm taking, it's cost nothing because I have so much health. So I'm using this first and I'll start perma blocking. So always make sure that this little altar is on the ground. Then I'll start doing my my buffs so I can regain my health back quite fast. The other ability that I'm using is the Unrelenting Grip. The Unrelenting Grip is my gap closer. It pulls the targets around me. It deals frames damage as well for 2,636, reducing the movability because the speed of all the targets I'm pulling. It is my main spammable in form of crowd control. So I make sure that all the NPCs around me comes towards me. So the damage dealers can nuke them without running all over the fields. How does it look like? Well, the people don't know how it looks like. It's just like a chain that's pulling itself. That's it. It pulls every single person out there. Now, the nicest thing about this ability, I also like to use it in form of resource control. So what they say as well, if you cannot pull your target, especially in bosses, you're gonna be restored 100% of your cost of magicka. So that's one of the main reasons as well that I don't use a big of magicka output pool and my max magicka output. So I have so much max stamina output, I can perma block myself as long as possible. But if I do use my magicka ability and I find myself in a pinch and I need a little bit buff magicka, I don't have any potions or whatever, I use this ability, so it gives me, especially on the boss, if I cannot pull them, give me 100% magicka back. So it's a really nice ability to regain your magicka back against the boss. It cannot be dodged or reflected, of course. Then another ability I like to use is the hardened armor. I prefer to use the hardened armor over the unstoppable wall, because both of them give you major resolve, increase your physical and spell resistance for 5,948 for 19 seconds. The nicest thing about unstoppable wall is that when you use unstoppable wall, for that 6 seconds that you literally become an unknockable and disabling effect. You become unknockable. So every heavy attack from the boss it does against you, it cannot knock you back. That can be also quite of a life savior if you combine the unstoppable wall with shield discipline to revive your teammates quite easier, quite much better. So you don't have to panic over the place. But the downside of this ability, first of all, I'm going to show you this. It reduces your movement speed for 56%. So how does it look like? It's like this. You're moving quite slower, but how can you bridge that? By dodging. You dodge yourself, because I have so much max stamina. Like you see, it doesn't matter for me how much it is, or how much I'm losing. So I still have so much of them, I can come back to perma block, and it's another reason why I'm using so much max stamina. So I never stop perma blocking. Why I sometimes I prefer to use the draconic harden. Like I said, it depends on the situation that you are. Um, you get major resolve, uh, spell resistance. You gain a damage shield. The moment you use the ability, you gain a damage shield of 8,068 for 6 seconds, scaled off from your uh, max health. While you activate this ability, you spray your surrounding area for 741 magic damage to any enemy to uses to direction. So when you activate this little baby, it gives you a nice little shield, but also do little damage to every single person around you. But also gives you this nicest thing is it's a matter of preference, or you would rather have a burst shields on you for 6 seconds long and scales off of your max health, or you want to be on an unmovable wall for 8 seconds to revive your colleagues if you do need it. So a little matter of preferences what you prefer. Um, because me personally, because I'm perma blocking so much, I'm already an unmovable wall. But if I do find in a situation that that the group that I'm playing with is not really, let's say, in the top tier level, I am going to switch Unstoppable Wall for this because I know for a fact they will start dropping like flies. So when I have this little baby activated, I can revive them. But if I'm playing with my own team, my own friends, and people I always play that I know of, that they know what they are doing, so I have my hardened wall on, so they give me the extra shields that I have. So all the sheets that I get is always nice to have for my overall survivability. So it's a matter of preference and a matter of content that you are playing in, which skill line that you are using. But for overall, I'm gonna recommend you to use um, unstoppable wall over uh, a hardened ability of the draconic skill line. Why? For the simplistic fact is that because if you're not used of playing with a mag decay, the unstoppable wall can really save your life. It can really mean a difference between life and death because of the knockback of the world of the boss itself can literally kill you. It can one shot you. So I recommend you to use this while you're learning to use with the mag decay. When you are knowledgeable of mag decay, and you will know when you can drop your perma blocking, when you cannot drop your perma blocking, then I would say use your hardened armor. Because I know the mechanics of the bosses, I know when I can drop my perma blocking and when I cannot drop it. So if you're new tanking, use unstoppable wall. If you're an experienced tanking, use hardened armor because by then you already know the mechanics of the bosses and you know when you can drop your perma block and when you cannot drop it. Okay. The other build I'm using is an adopted scale line again. Enrage. Enrage, what it does for you is a range taunts. It's the same concept. And the distance itself, you're dealing ignite the fire hates an enemy, dealing 2,165 damage, taunting them for 50 seconds. And range ally targets taunts enemy can activate the radius synergy, dealing 483 max magicka damage to them over 3 seconds, and addition 4,832 magicka. So it gives you a nice synergy. Radiance, and for most importantly, while a lot of people use this, is simply fact is Huna rage taunts. So you target the enemy, the boss towards you. So if you're in a distance, you are entering the zone. I see a lot of enemies. You want to taunt the boss first. You taunt the boss is coming towards you, and then you can go to every single other NPC, and you can do whatever you want. You can start pulling them towards you, and you taunt them again. You pull them towards you, and so you have all the entire group around you, all targeting at you and all hitting you. So that's why we have the range taunt. You enter the room first as a tank. You go, boom. You hit the boss first, and the distance, of course. You hit them in the distance, so he has the target towards you. So that's why we use it. The last ability that we use is, for me, this ability is a flex spot. Why I'm trying to say this, the last ability I use here is literally a flex spot. All the rest of them is a must-have in your tool cage tanking, and with this way I'm tanking, you must have. The last one is nothing more than a flex spot. The first one I use is Blood Mist. Blood Mist, what it does actually, you transform yourself towards a Bloody Mist. You're reducing your damage taken for 75%. Wait, you're gonna say, wow, that's a lot. Wait, there's a catch in it. It doesn't work on every single NPC in the game. The nice thing about this, you deal damage for 933 for every single second you are in the mist form. Entering, remove all the immunity that you have and the negative effects that you have. But of course, you cannot be healed while you are in the mist form. So I mean, magic recovery and all this kind of stuff is all disabled. Why I'm saying that is situational, because this ability does not work on world bosses. It does not work on the bosses itself, because the boss, for example, and VSS or an VSR will go through your mystical form. When he hits you, you will feel it. This only works on smaller NPCs, like you saw in the first video playthrough in the beginning. I was using it on the bosses. That was zero problem because I had small NPCs around me. Now I was able to take advantage of this. Those small NPCs, the normal NPCs, will not one-shot you, will not knock you back at all. But the boss itself, the main boss, will knock you back if you are in mist form, and you will feel it. So it becomes situational. So it's good and dungeon contents. When you're playing harder content, the dungeon, you have a lot of NPCs around you. You taunt the boss, and what you do then, you have the boss taunted to you, and all the rest of the NPCs also taunted to you. What you can do, you can help the DPSs by being there. So when you reach the boss, it's gonna deal damage. Okay. Now, what the thing is about this? It costs magicka. So like I said, it's situational. So you don't go there as spamming this for hours. You know, it's like, oh, la 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 la. No, it's gonna cost you magicka. So it's literally a situation, a set when you have a lot of NPCs around you, smaller NPCs that you can poke this, and yeah, do a little bit of damage, a little bit immortal. It's also nice, for example, if you are in dungeons that you have a lot of fire ability, because fire on a vampire, you will feel it. So by having mist form, you can overbridge that instance. For example, you have a lot of fire mechanics, you can overbridge that by using a mist form for that instance that is there, so that you can be immortal, for a matter of speaking. You can use that for that as well, but do not use this in form of a main tanking battle against the boss itself. Why I'm using this as a form of a flex spot? Because I use the Golfing Flame as well. The Golfing Flame I use in form of trials. Then, if you have in the contents you don't have any mag decays there, I use an Engulfing Flames. Not because it's dealing the damage 4,190. It's all this nice flame damage. It's all nice. It's also nice for the passives that I have in my tool cage. But the nicest thing is that it grants effective enemies take all enemies taken by the flame damage attack based on offensive stats. So let me recuperate this because I'm trying to lose my English here right now. So the moments I use Engulfing Flame, simply. So every enemy caught in an Engulfing Flame, mostly on the boss when I'm tanking, the main boss, I proc this. If you don't have many mag decays in a group, so what it's going to do for me, it's going to give 10% more damage taken. The boss itself is going to take 10% more damage. It's a form of a debuff. So I like to have this as well, and trials as well, if you don't have the many mag decays, or if you don't have any mag decays, so I can put this on so I can give a form of a debuff. Otherwise, I don't start it. Like I said, the last slot is literally nothing more than a flick spot about everything what I'm doing here. Alright, my bad. Alright. Let me see. What do we have left? Another ability that I use in the form of flex spot, Stone Giants. Same thing. Stone Giants. I use if a lot of if this then the concept is differently. Then, if I have, for example, a lot of mag decays and the trials itself, not so many stam decays and the trials itself. So I make sure I have this little baby on because I have such a big stamina outpull. I can use my Stone Giant. So what it's gonna do is not because of the damage. The damage it gives you is 6,003 physical damage to all enemies in area that is ripped by, for 6 meters for the debris. Activating gain and allow you to launch 3 stones that deal additionally every single one of them 6,301 physical damage for up to 3 times. All of these stats numbers is already all nice. But the only reason I'm using this is because of the stagger ability. Each hit of the stagger increases the damage taken by 65 per stack for 6 seconds. So I have a lot of stamina resources, so I can literally proc this. I can proc this, I can cast this while I'm blocking, doing my thing. I can, doing my rotation, I can throw one, block, throw a second one. I can do this for a very, very long time, but because I'm doing that, I'm giving stagger towards my group, and what the stagger is going to do for the group, increasing the damage taken for 65 stack for each stone ability that I'm using. It's another ability that I have for flag. What I also use from a flag spot, I can use Ignis weapon to increase the weapon major brutality, major sorcery, and for an entire group for 20 seconds for 45 seconds long. So this last bar is literally situational. When you find yourself in a situation, you can slot differently. That's it. It's really something you have to have a certain feeling that you have. And if you're using a dungeon itself, I use Ignis weapon. So I start the fight, I increase everybody weapon and spell damage. So this tank is really made to sustain yourself, to help your colleagues, and really to be an overall tank. And that's really helpful in a group content. That's what this tank is actually built for. That's how it's constructed for. So, a form of passives I use, of course, I'm a Redguard. I'm using all the Redguard passive. The nicest thing about the Redguard passive is Adrenaline Rush. Now, Adrenaline Rush is going to do for me what it makes this, why I'm using so many stamina-based morphs within my tank, because of Adrenaline Rush. Every single time I deal damage, I'm restoring 1005 stamina back for 5 seconds. That's extremely insane in form of resource management and resource restoration within my skill line. Same thing goes for my Ardent Flame ability. Combustion increases your damage for your burning stat, a passive effect for 50%. When you apply burning to an enemy, you restore 500 magicka, and when you apply poison, you restore 500 stamina. So I use Engulfing Flame, so I have a flame status effect. I can benefit from the combustion passive, and I'm using Relenting Grip and give flame damage, and I'm also using the combustion passive because of it. For the rest of the abilities, of course, it's all the passives we take, because it buffs the overall survivability, the sustain of your classes as high as possible. The rest of them is just normal passives you have. Alright. Same thing goes for the Ardent skill line. You take all the passives because of the Elder Dragon. The Elder Dragon increases your health recovery by 5% for every draconic ability we use. And we're using the Green Dragon ability when we have this activated. The Green Dragon, this little baby. The Elder Dragon passive is gonna make sure for us we get 5% more magic recovery each time we're using it. Of course, scale armor increases your spell resistance. All the rest of the ability is not just nice passive to have. So burning heart, same thing when you're having a draconic ability activated, you increase 10% more health recovery. And of course, Iron Skin increases the amount of damage you can take. And the Ardent skill line is same thing. We're taking all the passive, all these beautiful passives, and that's the thing about this ability. If you're using an Ardent skill line, you're increasing your own weapon and your own minor brutality. But it's not really not important for us, but it's a nice thing to have. When you use a node ability, it costs 46 health. Nice for ultimate regeneration and just overall sustain. On a tank as well, it's so nice to have. Yeah, that's it. For armor skill line, we're using all the passives on the armor skill line. We're using 7 armor sets, so we're benefiting of 2,400 and 2,402 current bonus of physical and spell resistance. Same thing, we have an increase of 25%, 28% of health recovery because we have so many armor pieces. We have 7 heavy we're using, so we're truly benefiting of the health recovery as high as possible. Increasing your max health by 2% for every single heavy set you have 40%. So same thing, increasing your max stamina and your health recovery for every single every single heavy set you have on is increases. We have current bonus is 28%. Same thing for Rapid Mending, increases your healing received by 1% for every single heavy armor have for 7%. So we're making sure that our health recovery, physical resistance are buffed as high as possible because we have 7 pieces of armor. Where should sit on? A form of champions points. What we use in form of champions point, that's so important in the blue skill line. We're making sure that we have quick recovery on, hardening on, element Agnes we have it on. That's not so important, but you can always have it activated if you want it. And the other passes that we're using is the reinforced bracing. When you use a damage shield, you gain a damage shield that absorb 5,140 damage for 3 seconds. How does it look like? Actually, if you activate just a shield, that little sheet around you, that is what you get for 3 seconds long. It's a nice little shield that you have every single time you're starting to perma-block. You get a 5,440 damage shield just for free. It's a nice thing to have. I increase my stamina, I increase my max health, or nothing special here as well. I'm trying to increase my max stamina as well here. And my max health. All the rest is nothing important here for you to use. For my red champions point allocation, I use Bundles Vitality, Iron Cloud, Rejuvenation, for increase my armor, increase my health, increase my magic and health and stamina recovery. I'm using Hero Vigor to increase my health as high as possible. I'm using Fortification, increase the much damage I can take. I'm using Tireless Giants, to increase how much I can block, increase my block mitigations. I'm using on guard and to reduce the crowd immunity and increase your amount of damage you can block per stage. Increase my block mitigation as high as possible. And the rest of the ability is just a matter of preferences, what you want to have, increasing movability. Yeah, it's the rest of them. It's just a matter of preferences, what you want to have, want to min-max. Last on the green allocation is same thing, it's a matter of preferences. The only thing I can recommend you to get is a routinier to increase your buff food as long as possible. For the rest of them, it's just a matter of preferences, what you need, what you want. Uh, actually, nothing special. It's nice to have a way shine reduction for 10% by having this ability slotted, activated passively. Otherwise, it's nothing special here. I would say you must have this. It is going to increase your survivability. No, it's a matter of preference. And I think we're coming to the end of our tutorial. Hopefully everything was clear and you understood everything I need. If you have everything that you need, more questions, don't forget to hit me on my Discord page. It's been written on the description down below. Hit me on the comments down below what you think about this build. It's always nice to think your feedback about everything. Also, thank you for listening so far, if you made it this far. And I will see every single one of you on the next build guide and update within Elder Scrolls Online. Or anything has to do with gaming, a lot of streams that I do. I will say hit the notification bell, subscribe yourself. You're going to see a lot of beautiful things, not only from the Elder Scrolls, also from other games that you can see and scroll towards my channel that I stream as well in my channel. I'll say thank you very much for listening and for being here. I'll say stay safe out there in this corona world. And I'll see you all on the next one. Bye bye. Ciao. Out.